The Bifta's unique social club silhouette features a surfboard on its roof, despite the fact that it's not one of the 12 vehicles that have surfboard modifications available. But that's just one of the 70 off-road vehicles in GTA 5, and today I'm going to give you one fact for every single vehicle in this class. The Blazer is one of the few vehicles in the game that has its rear license plate textured the same on both sides, giving it a mirrored look from the inside. The Blazer Aqua has a small issue with its wheels disappearing when viewed from far away. The farther back you go, eventually you'll see that the stock wheels will disappear entirely. As for the Blazer Lifeguard, the lights are actually blocked by a flotation device on the hood, but it can still clearly illuminate the road, shining directly through it. The Bodhi was originally supposed to be able to tow trailers, as it has a trailer hitch, and for the longest time did accept any trailer, changing the camera angle like a normal truck that can connect to the trailer would do. But in this case, the trailers will never connect to the Bodhi as it was cut content from the game. The Boar has two small issues that I noticed. First, with its open roof option, the glass was not actually moved in the model. This can be seen if you shoot through the T-top, causing the glass to crack where it used to be rather than where it is currently. On top of that, the bed cap available on the back of this vehicle only has collision going into the box and not out of the box, so if you shoot through the box, you can actually shoot through the canopy. The Brawler has an issue with its lower textures. The intersection of the front right wheel well is missing, leaving a cutout portion that exposes most of the engine and lets you see through the vehicle. This isn't present on the left side. The Apocalypse Bruiser has the skeleton and cage spoiler option, and if you look closely, it's the same skeletal model that was used for the giant skeleton in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, a little Red Dead Redemption, huh?
I've been looking forward to this moment for some time.
For the Future Shock Bruiser, the Arena War website shows it with a ram skull totem decoration, which isn't available on the Future Shock variant. On top of this, the ram decoration has extra spikes on it. As for the Nightmare Bruiser, when customizing it, you'll notice that the Cabal livery is labeled the Carbo livery, which is a typo that was in the game and has never been fixed. The Apocalypse Brutus was named after Marcus Junius Brutus, one of the Roman politicians who assassinated Julius Caesar, the emperor of the Roman Empire. Technically this applies to all three variants of the Brutus, but for the Future Shock, I'm going to mention that the headlight, taillights, and windshield all get tinted, when it's only the windshield and side windows on every other variant. Finally, the Nightmare Brutus actually has an error with its armor plating over the front quarter panel windows, which when shot will actually show the broken glass texture on the metallic armor, which doesn't make any sense. The Caracara has an issue with its minigun, where if the player looks behind them when getting onto the minigun, it'll cause a very glitchy animation where the arms and head of the character will twist and bend in a very bizarre way. The Caracara 4x4 lacks a Los Santos Customs enter animation and will completely void the cutscene when you try and customize this truck. The color of the Desert Raid's spare tires are actually linked to the regular tire colors rather than a trim color, secondary color, or primary color. So despite the fact you can't color the stock wheels in Los Santos Customs, you can modify the spare stock wheels, but you can't change their style. The Draugr originally had an issue with its roof panel where it was unable to illuminate when the high beams got turned on, and instead it worked like a daytime running light, meaning that this vehicle didn't have proper high beams available, but this was fixed in the Drug Wars update. The Drift Walton L35 has some errors with two of its spoilers and its tailgate clipping with them. Normally when spoilers like these are applied, the tailgate or trunk of a vehicle is disabled so it won't open, but in this case these two spoilers do clip and the animation was not disabled. The Dubsta 6x6 had some artwork used in a GTA Plus advertisement that shows a green Dubsta with a Yeti Mall camo livery. However, the Dubsta 6x6 does not currently support liveries at all. The Dune Buggy has a unique soundbite where you can hear the flap of the canvas shaking in the wind. However, this audio can also be heard within a garage that doesn't have any wind. The Dune FAV's passenger-mounted gun allows NPCs to shoot in any direction, ignoring its physical restriction. Despite this, the gun will still be physically restricted from facing the direction, but the bullets or grenades will fire in whatever direction the enemy or NPC is aiming in. The Dune Loader is one of the only standard-sized pickup trucks in the game that allow you to stand in the box of the vehicle without falling over, making it easy to transport more people despite the fact it only holds 2 people regularly. The Everon's front indicators are tintable when tinting the windows. These will get locked to the highest tint, but can still be tinted regardless. The Fireball ASP's Parts Hollow livery is a clear reference to Fast and Furious. However, if you look closely at the livery itself, the word manifold is incorrectly spelled as manifoiled. The free crawler was originally supposed to be called the Reservoir, which was likely a reference to Rezvani Motors, the brand in which the vehicle is based on. When entering the Hellion, the player model will freeze incorrectly with one hand off the steering wheel prior to starting the engine of the vehicle. This is seen in both third and first person for just a brief moment. The Hot Rod Blazer's description on Southern San Andreas Super Autos refers to the Hot Rod Blazer as only being available to completionists. This is because the vehicle was originally only available to players who completed the storyline, provided options B or C were chosen. The injection was updated in the enhanced version of the game to show a Declass logo on the steering wheel, despite the fact that it's not made by Declass. The Insurgents' rear door could originally be opened via the interaction menu selected as trunk, but this was removed in 2015. On top of that, the hood is also impossible to open, so this vehicle doesn't even have an engine model inside of it. The Insurgent pickup is missing an entire exhaust system, as fumes can be seen coming out near the rear wheel, but there's no actual exhaust manifold under the vehicle. When you upgrade this to the Insurgent Pickup Custom, it'll receive an interior option called Light Color, which is normally the color modifying the dash lights. However, it doesn't have any effect on the dials itself or any other component on the vehicle, as the model doesn't actually assign it to a specific area. The Kalahari comes in 3 different variants: a topless variant, a framed variant, and a variant with rear windows. These windows can be tinted, but regardless of what variant you have, the windshield can actually be tinted along the top half like a sunstrip. When driving the Camacho, you'll notice that the tubular door modifications, when broken off, will revert to the stock doors. On top of that, the reverse lights will remain in place even if the rear bumper is detached. The Liberator will always be referred to by the in-game police as a white monster truck, despite the fact that its body is mostly blue. This is just because that the base color under the livery is always white. The Marshal's hood is actually openable. Despite this fact, you'll notice that it's not hinged on anything and will actually float once it's opened. The Menacer has many windows and reflectors around the entire vehicle, and every single one of these lights, reflectors, and windows are breakable except for the 2 rear indicators, which can't be broken at all. The Merryweather Mesa can be modified at Los Santos Customs both in story mode and online, however the bodywork cannot be modified. There was also a brief period of time where you couldn't sell this vehicle and would have been stuck with it, but this has since been fixed. The Monstrosity's custom spare wheel modifications actually have no collision, so when you back this vehicle into something, if you have custom spare tire options, they'll clip right through. On top of that, when you break off the rear door, the entire spare wheel will become invisible, causing a floating logo. Similarly, when you break off any custom hood, it will also turn invisible. This is best seen with the Foglight variant. The Night Shark's guns were originally retractable and had a unique animation where their machine guns would hide within the front bumper, but at one point this broke and it's never been fixed. The Outlaw was originally supposed to have suspension upgrades to lower the vehicle like you normally would, but this was cut and you can't change the ride height of this vehicle. The Patriot Mil-Spec's front-mounted machine guns are attached to the front of the hood, so strangely when you open the hood and the guns point downwards, you can still fire straight off. The same can be said when you break the hood off entirely. The guns aren't even on the vehicle, but you can still fire away. The ramp buggy's description states that you'll see a meteor shower in your rearview mirror. However, there's no rearview mirror in the vehicle. The ramp buggy also has a variant that spawns with a spoiler and covered roof, but this can only be seen in the special work mission Escape Escort, the VIP and CEO work Ramped Up, and might appear in the setup mission for Escort ULP when it started with 2 or more players. The Rancher XL and Snowy Rancher XL are basically carbon copies of each other, but many people don't notice that the Snowy variant has a handle to open the trunk, but this has been removed from the regular version, meaning that it should technically be impossible to open that trunk. The Ratel is one of the only vehicles in the game to feature movable caps on its exhausts, especially on the sideways variants, where they don't point straight up. The RC Bandito can be equipped with a remote bomb, but the remote bomb's countdown will always skip the numbers 9, 8, 7, and 6 when counting down. As you can see, whenever it hits a multiple of 10, it skips the next 5 numbers. But of course this countdown doesn't mean anything because it will just reset when it hits 0. The Clean Rebel has basically no customization options, but it can spawn with 2 different bumper modifications, a roll cage, and some extra lights on the roll cage itself. But I haven't been able to get one to spawn that has a unique front bumper and the covered fog lights on its roll cage. The Riata's doors have a slight offset with the hinges, resulting in them separating from the car itself and floating alongside the vehicle. The Rusty Rebel's bed cap options actually make the vehicle bulletproof from the rear end, so if you have enemies chasing you, consider using this vehicle with these modifications. The Sand King SWB's bed cap has no collision with bullets or throwables, so you can fire right through it, meaning it offers no extra protection on your back. The Sand King XL doesn't have any B-pillar in the vehicle, so if you break off both doors on one side of the vehicle, you'll notice that the entire side is wide open. This also means that when you open both doors, the rear door won't be connected to anything. The 3 Sasquatches in the game have a couple unique features. First off, on the Apocalypse Sasquatch, and the other variants, the electric fence front bumper will actually electrocute people when you bump into them, making it one of the few vehicles with a feature like this. Upon release, the Future Shock Sasquatch had its side steps and underside incorrectly mapped with the Havoc's texture instead of its own, but this was fixed in the Diamond Casino and Resort update. The Sasquatch Nightmare has a front bumper that features a highway sign. This can also be seen on the other variants, but this highway sign is only seen in one location on the map. The Space Docker has 6 unique horns, which are all based on old science fiction sound effects. The Street Blazer is one of the only quads in the game that allow you to wheelie. Now this is only from a standstill or at low speeds, because once you get the speed up high enough, it will not let you wheelie anymore. The Technical's rear turret actually allows you to shoot through the vehicle's doors, hood, and part of its cab directly to the ground. The Technical Aqua has 2 exhaust manifolds, each holding 4 pipes, for a V8. The main exhaust pipe only connects to one of the exhaust manifolds before splitting into a twin exhaust tip exhaust muffler. This is likely a minor development oversight. Unlike the Technical or Rebel variants, the Technical Custom lacks a turbocharger blow-off sound effect if a turbo is installed. The Terminus has been plagued with rear window issues since the day of its release that have been fixed, broken, fixed, and then broken again. But on top of that, the vehicle doesn't have any high beams available. Sure, you'll turn on extra lights when turning on the high beams, but the actual lighting in front of you doesn't change. The trophy truck's spare tires can be changed like the Desert Raids, allowing you to change the color of the spare tires if you change the style of the stock wheels and change their color. I really don't know why Rockstar just never gave us the option to color stock wheels. The Vagrant might be one of the only vehicles in the game that allow you to completely remove the primary color from every part of the vehicle. The primary color already only affects a small portion of the vehicle, and you can change every single primary body panel to a secondary body panel, meaning that the primary color won't show up at all. The Varus will never be used by El Rubio's cartel to chase you, despite the fact that you can see them doing that in some official artwork from the update. The Walton L35 was never programmed with any deformation, so regardless of how much you damage this vehicle, nothing will ever bend, crumple, or change on the actual body style of the vehicle. The Walton L35 stock's padded roll cage actually clips slightly with the windshield on the left side. The Winky's Rockstar Games Social Club listing incorrectly states that this vehicle only has 2 seats, instead of 3. It's also the only 3-seater vehicle in the entire game that's not weaponized. The Yosemite 1500 has 2 very similar front bumper options that have a large light bar in the bumper itself. However, only one of these bumper options actually has that light bar functioning, which is odd considering how similar they are. The Yosemite Rancher has an issue where if you install a truck bed option, it'll have the same effect to that of lowrider speakers. In addition, opening the tailgate through the interaction menu while the vehicle is stationary and having the radio on will make the radio sound less muffled. And to finish us off, the Zaba has quite a list of issues. To start, changing the bumper modification will sometimes decrease or remove the turbo on the vehicle. Due to the Zaba's unique entering animation, if an NPC tries to rip you out of the vehicle to fight you, they'll instead get in the vehicle and then just start to drive off. And finally, when floating on a body of water, sometimes you can't get into the driver's seat of the Zaba and you'll just teleport into the rear section of the Zaba, meaning that you're stuck in the middle of the ocean. However, you're not stuck with me anymore because this video is over, but if you want to see any other classes that we've covered with individual facts or be notified for future ones, consider subscribing, and thanks for watching.